Testing, testing, testing. JB here, December 8th, 2023. Just want to get on the audio really quick before the weekend. Haven't been on for the last 2 days. Talk really quick about VKTX. I'll talk a little about TRUP, Zillow, SMG, SSYS maybe. And lastly, the 2K challenge. I posted on the private Twitter feed yesterday. I'll a quick little, just a little teaser, and then I'm gonna have a nice little piece this weekend to kind of give some details on that. Yep. We'll post on the site tomorrow. Sorry, just getting questions in the chat room. Let's just go up here. All right, so first VKTX. So some I guess I wouldn't even call it catalyst because I take a look at Viking Therapeutics and it's a name that fits right into the mold of what's going on with GLP-1 drugs, with NVO and LLY. Still early stage, so a couple years out from having a drug that actually will generate revenues, but the early data has been promising. And considering what some of these pharma names have been trying to chase after with little success, you would think that they would take a look at a name like VKTX and say, hey, here's an opportunity for us to get a piece of the market that LLY and MVO have been eating away at for the last year and a half, 2 years. So with that being said, the stock all the way up into the 20s. Then there was data that came out from some of the studies showing that the NASH, which was the other side of VKTX's possible pipeline, was not going to be as profitable because it turned out GLP-1 drugs reduce the NASH possibility. So with that being said, you saw tickers like MDGL, Intercept, and VKTX selling off because supposedly NASH was the next big opportunity, but it turns out it was obesity and diabetes and GLP-1 drugs. But needless to say, VKTX came out with their phase 2 data phenomenal. Now they have an oral study that's going to be out. It was supposed to be out in the quarter four, but now it looks like it's going to be in the first half of 2024. I just think it's an opportunity. And so over the weekend, Barron's posted a piece, I think it was Monday morning, talking about some plays that you can look for, undervalued plays on this GLP-1 weight loss, Ozempic, Wegovy, all that scenario situation. VKTX was one of them. So the stock rallied up a little bit Monday, Tuesday, and then Roche did acquired a private pharmaceutical company that is only in a phase 1 study for GLP-1. So we don't know the whole situation. When it's a privately traded, when it's a private company, it's not publicly traded, so there's not as much information around what the studies look like, what's their financials, what does all that look like. But the premium they paid, I think, was $2.9 billion. I have to go look. Here's VKTX, which is a publicly traded company with transparency, and it's only $1.7 billion. So you can see the stock just rallying. I think it's up. I think it's still 33% up for the week. I think it heads into 20s, maybe mid 20s in the coming weeks. It's a very divisive name. So there's a huge short interest. 19% of the shares sold short. What that means is it's going to be volatile. So today, all the way up to 1958, now down to 1844, and that's just people. Some people trying to pressure the stock to incite selling, things like that. But I think the trend is higher. I think it heads into the 20s, if not higher. At the same time, I want to make sure I cover some of my costs, right? I don't want to be in a situation where I was in the summer, where VKTX sold off on the NASH news, and I didn't lock all my profits in. So I'm not saying I'm going to lock all my profits in, but I've been scaling out of my positions. Still hold plenty of calls to take advantage of the move to the upside. So that's the thought process there on VKTX. I think great story. And then it brings it right into WW. And I posted on Twitter again today, back when Roku was just a little baby platform that was selling little sticks, I always used to post on Twitter. I always said the platform to rule them all, because I thought Roku, because it's a content neutral platform, would be able to take all these different a la carte services and put them on their platform. And that's what's happened. And Roku has been able to monetize, advertise, create their own channel. a lot of great things, and it's probably going to continue to do great things going forward. So when I look at Weight Watchers, I look at Weight Watchers like I look at Roku. I think Weight Watchers is going to be the health platform of the future, whether it be weight loss, mental health, exercise, diet, the whole spectrum of of um, of health. I think that's the future of Weight Watchers. They have a CEO who knows how to be able to bring technology and create a platform to create a community for folks who want to take care of their health. And now they have the Sequence acquisition, which going to give them the opportunity to be able to take folks outside of normal health programs, which would be clinical, Ozempic and Wegovy and all those other solutions out there. So as that addressable market, and they talk about the weight loss market, or at least GLP-1 drugs possibly hitting $100 billion total addressable market in 2030. Here's Weight Watchers front and center. They're going to be, I hate to use the word, drug dealer. I don't think that's the case. I think they're going to be the health solution. And we've already saw that with some of these health insurance companies requiring 3 months of some kind of program before they prescribe you. And here's Weight Watchers. So, and it's WW International, but it's still Weight Watchers. So those are the two reasons why I like those. Well, those are two companies I like to play into that. Who else did I have on here? Not going to talk too much about Trupanion. You saw my rants earlier in the week. I'm very passionate. So if you look at my post back in 2013 on Tesla, I got trolled, and a lot of people that have a lot of followers, some have a couple 100,000 followers, trashed Tesla incessantly back in 2013. They followed me. I used to post bullish because I think in order to look to be able to trade stocks, you need to look to the future. And I thought, hey, if Tesla's able to execute, they're the future of not only just transportation but energy with solar. Solar City used to be a name I traded. But those folks, they trolled me to the point where I could not post Tesla on Twitter anymore because I would just be too much. I don't know how to put too much information overload where I don't want to argue with folks or have a discussion, but at the same token, it kind of took away from everything else I was doing. So I kind of stopped doing that. I'll see if I can find. I post a lot of stuff on Reddit back in 2013 on Tesla, and a lot of it's come to fruition. And there used to be people, same on Reddit, saying the same things. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Elon Musk is the best thing since sliced bread or whatever analogy you want to give. He has issues, just like everybody else does. He has quirks, but he's definitely intelligent. I mean, he read books, and all of a sudden he can create functionality on rockets and things that I could not do, right? So I have a lot of respect for that. And so it brings me to Trupanion, and Trupanion's similar situation. It was one of my top 5 stocks back in maybe it was 2015. Same folks who were bearish Tesla were coming after me on Trupanion, saying it's a scam, it's a garbage company. And then all of a sudden, Charlie Grant on the Wall Street Journal's writing articles. But you go look at Charlie Grant, he follows all those people that were trolling me on Twitter. So there's obviously some folks sending Charlie Grant some little, whether it's money or a tap on the shoulder, or maybe they go out to dinner, whatever it is. Hey, write a negative article on Trupanion for me so I can make money on my short. I hate to think that's how it is, but I almost think it's almost too obvious that it's not. So I like Trupanion. When I made one of my top 5 stocks, the addressable market is tremendous in the U.S. In the UK, 40% of all pets are covered by insurance. In the U.S., it's 2 to 3%. If they just move the bar to 7, 8, 9%, it's a $20 billion plus company with a huge market opportunity in other countries across the globe. And they have a partnership with a company in Australia now, Japan. So the bear case, and people are arguing with me on Twitter again about Trupanion. They're raising prices, and I don't know anybody else who's done insurance. Maybe you've done a lease before. If you rented, if you leased an apartment, the whole ecosystem of that is once you get those people into that ecosystem, you raise prices. It's small, not too much, not enough for them to get out of the lease, but enough for them to stay into the lease, right? So I mean, that's the business model. So if you're short to stock Trupanion, you say, well, it's bearish. They're raising prices. To me, I'm like, wow, that's smart business, right? I mean, look what Netflix did. Netflix been raising prices, and the bears have been saying that's negative. That company, I just don't get it. So, so that's Trupanion in a nutshell. I think it heads into above 30. You saw over the weekend, Friday, there was a filing, an S3 filing, which was required with their agreement from Aflac saying, here's their offering. Here's how many shares they have of our company. We had to issue those shares. So it is dilution per se, but it's been out there for 3 years. So the only issue of dilution is if the company decides to sell. So what happens Monday morning? Aflac comes out with a PR in unison with Trupanion saying, we are committed to our partnership with Trupanion. So they're not selling their shares. So the stock gapped down all the way down to $26 because I think these bears, again, I think there's a concerted effort for them to try and incite selling. And then you see it rally back. 40% short interest. At some point, you're paying interest on the shorts. It's going to start to squeeze. I don't know if it's today, next week, the week after. I think it's going to do a catch-up trade into the end of the year. People are going to try and balance positions. And, Trupanion, I think it's a great opportunity. So that's kind of my thought process there on rationale on my longs on Trupanion. I think it heads much higher. Not going to say much on Zillow. Locked the rest of my January 50 strikes in. Added some more further out on money strikes on Zillow just in case it continues to rally. It's an easy argument here on Zillow. You have rates that are either staying the same or heading lower, or mortgage rates, and then you have the demand side. So the demand side for housing has always been there. It's the supply side. Why would I want to sell my house? Let's say you have a mortgage and you're locked in at 4 or 3 or even 5. Why would you sell your house now when if you have to, and let's say you have a family of 2 that's going to be a family of 3, why would you move now to pay higher rates? You're going to pay a substantial amount more money on a mortgage than you did before. So as rates start to go down, people maybe they start to look at options for adjustable rate mortgages or things like that. But here's Zillow, the number one trafficked real estate site. I think it heads much higher. So I close over the 200-day moving average last 2 days. I think it heads 50, 55, 60, and possibly higher into January. So that's Zillow. SMG, I've been putting on the watch list for the last couple days, these catch-up names that have underperformed the market, particularly in the small cap space, names that I think that people are going to start to look to that probably have been oversold just based on tax loss selling, things like that. SMG is one of those names. Great story. You take a look. I think it was back, I think it opened 2023 in the 70s. Some difficult earnings. You have, it's part of the marijuana space. So when you have the cannabis space, people talk about SMG in those terms too. But it's a great seasonal play. You have, once spring starts to come, it's soil fertilizer. They do all that, right? So doesn't mean, that happens every year. So it's not, this year's no different. But I just think there's an opportunity here for a move into the probably low 70s. So that's kind of the thought process there. I'm getting SMG. Let's see. Oh, Zillow, TRUP. Still holding Fiverr. I like that for higher. Especially you take a look at the jobs report this morning. When you look at what's happened with data over the last couple months, every time there was negative data, the market rallies because people are saying, wow, the Fed's policies are actually starting to bear fruit by raising rates. They're I wouldn't say, hopefully they're not going to, push the U.S. economy into a recession, but at least it shows that by raising those rates, the economy is kind of cooling off, but that some of it hasn't been the case. And take a look at the jobs report this morning. Came in under estimates. Unemployment rate dropped. just kind of the recipe. You would think the market would just sell off, and here it is, bounced off the lows, and we're pretty much right here at 460 on the SPY. So maybe that narrative, and I put it on the watch list this morning, the narrative of this good news is bad news is finally going to be good news is good news. And who knows if that takes us to 465, 470 before the year is out, but who knows? And then reevaluate. There's so many headwinds right now, and there's still folks calling for a recession. Yeah, so we'll have to see how that all plays out. One other thing. So, SSYS, got some calls after their earnings. I always talk about the 3D sector as one of those underappreciated sectors where take a look at a company, SSYS, at the start of the year was getting courted from all sides for potential buyouts and substantially higher than where it is now. It's only $12 now. People giving offers for $22.50, $25, and then it has since sold off. I think of course I would love to see it get back to 20, but I think it heads to 15 in a very short period of time. Already got the January 1250s. I went and added. Did I get the March? I have to go look at the strikes. I think I got the March 15s. I think it heads substantially higher than that. Some of the reason there might be some, I wouldn't call it pressure, but maybe not as much as an enthusiasm on SSYS. It's an Israeli company, so some of these names continue to be a little bit, maybe folks are on the sidelines just waiting for things to settle out. But love SSYS for higher. And at some point I'll lock my 1250s in. I'll ride the March strikes. SSYS has made some good gains over the years for me. And also I had some positions where I had to wait for them to expire. I don't think that's going to be the case. Again, I already locked some of my 1250s in, so those are free, but I'll probably lock more of those in. And then 2K challenge. So I posted on Twitter. This is like 10 or no, maybe it's 12 years in the making. I'll post some links over the weekend. I'm going to try and figure out how to do this. Obviously the folks who've been with the community for the longest will have first dibs of being part of the group, and then I'm going to just limit it because what happens when I post a position, unless it's a liquid name like Apple, the premiums go nuts. So let's say if I went and got Zillow's at 46.45. If I went and got the January 50 calls again, by the time I post my entry, those calls are up already 15-20% because of the volume that goes into it. So it's in order to follow my trades, it would be tough to have a large participation group because it just wouldn't make sense. Because you could get in a position and then the premiums go up, you chase, and then the stock just goes flat, and then by the end of the day, you're losing money on the position just because you added after other folks have added. It's just that, it's tough. So I'll have to figure out the logistics of everything, and I'll have a post out tomorrow. But I think it was 2012, 2013. Crazy times. I just feel a little more confident the last couple of weeks and months in regards to the market, where I think there's opportunities to play some names, especially some that are under the radar for upside. Look at WW. I could sit here and say, oh, go get the $10 calls. It's going to the moon. We could look back next year, January, February, and I could say, wow, I was right. But it's so hard to hold because it's volatile, all the way up to 200-day moving average, 2 weeks ago, and then has done nothing but sell off since. So it's very hard to have conviction when the market tries to prove you wrong. But I just look and it's I hate to call it intuition or gut, but I just think it's gonna be $15-$20. Whether that's mid 2024, it started 2024, I don't know. But those are some of the positions that I look to get, and I'll probably look for some speculative under the radar names that I don't think a lot of people are following. So also what comes with that is I'll do my top 5 stocks for 2024. That'll be out before the end of the year. Another name acquired this year, HSKA. So I think I've done it. Was it 10-year anniversary? So it's 50 names, and I think like 12 or 13 of those names have been acquired. Not that matters. Some of those have been acquired below my target price, so that doesn't mean I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but it just means some other company found value in a name that I liked. I think that's it. Trying to think of Trupanion, SMG, Fiverr, uh, TripAdvisor. Still love TripAdvisor. Take a look at Expedia, right? I mean, this thing's on a tear since I don't even know, was it their earnings? I guess that's their earnings back in November, but it was $90. It's at 145 today. So I mean, how does that not translate into some kind of um, massive move in TripAdvisor? And the thing is, TripAdvisor had great earnings too. It just to me, it just shows that there's the sentiment around TripAdvisor is negative, similar to what folks do with Yelp. It's a platform. They do reviews, but they have their aviator side of the business, which is growing leaps and bounds. And like I've always said, similar to Zillow, Zillow is the most trafficked real estate site on the planet. TripAdvisor is the most trafficked travel site on the on the planet. So, at some point, TripAdvisor will get their act together, monetize that the way they should. I mean, they are monetizing it, but it should be at a much higher level, much better execution. And I mean, it's like 450 million visitors every month on TripAdvisor. So how are you not doing $400 million in revenue every month? You should be doing $1.2 billion in revenues. I mean, maybe they are. I have to go look at their numbers. I don't think they are, though, because otherwise I would think much differently of them. But so that's that. I'll do some details on the 2K challenge. I'm losing my voice. Hope everybody has a great weekend. And if you have questions, definitely send an email, optionmillionaires@gmail.com. You can do you can do support@optionmillionaires.com. And I think that's it. All right. Have a great weekend, folks. Rock and roll.